when I'm brought into an organization to help them solve a problem, the first thing that they're focused on is we need to get a fix for a situation. Either it's a manufacturing process or new product development that isn't quite where it needs to be. We need to get it fixed. And so my first question is to them, what's our specification? How do we know when we're successful? How do we know when we're done? That question, it varies on the response I get, but sometimes it's a little bit vague of, well, it's kind of like this, or we've kind of been talking to a couple people, and here's kind of where we're aiming. Well, then of course the next thing is, well, if that's what you're trying to measure and trying to do, how do you test for it? How, what's that methodology? And it's not uncommon to find that test method isn't particularly rigorous. So if the spec is vague and the measurement system isn't robust, how are you going to know that you've actually fixed the problem that I'm coming in for? And so I tend to, sometimes I may come in, and we actually do some test method development to make sure we have a reliable test method first. And then for meeting that specification, the customer need or requirement, and then we can go about fixing it. Sometimes these things are good enough. They don't have to be perfect. Sometimes they're good enough we can fix it without doing a lot of that work. But sometimes that test method development becomes critical. Doesn't mean we have to always pass a gauge R&R. Maybe those are unique measurements only for development stage. What we'll use long-term in production could be different. For instance, I use the example a lot of scratches. While a scratch maybe on your part may be a defect and we reject it, that's an okay measurement maybe for a spec or for customer acceptance. But how do we want to measure it during the DOE, during development? What I'll sometimes do is increase it to counting the number of scratches, the maximum depth of a scratch, maybe the length of the scratch, whatever is a characteristic of the process issue that they're having. And those won't be long-term measured that way, but short-term we'd do that. And then do we do it with naked eye? Do we do it under a microscope? Whatever, I mean, we can get in and make that more and more rigorous as we go. We want the simplest, most cost-effective method as possible. We're not trying to overcomplicate things. We're trying to maximize our learning so we know when we've hit our spec, we know when we've fixed the situation that we're having challenges with. If you may need some help with test method development and being integral to actually solving the situation that you have in your hands, give us a call at Perry Solutions. We'd love to help you out, solve those problems, and get your company back making money and getting that investment on your development efforts.